Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Yosef. I hope the voice quality is better. We have a new microphone system set up. This is the week of Balak. Balak is the king of Moab, and he hired a prophet, a wizard, Bilam, to curse the Jewish people. This week, which is the middle of June 18th today, this week, Friday, will be June 21st, and Shabbos, June 22nd. What does that mean to anybody? That means the earliest candle lighting time of the whole year, like latest of the whole year, about 8:10, and about 18 minutes later is 8:28, 8:30. Some people light it 8:12. That means this week, June 21st, 22nd, is the summer solstice, the longest day, the shortest night. 6 months exactly from now will be the winter solstice, shortest day, longest night. So in this part of New York area, which is 41 degrees above the equator, we have the longest day is 15 hours instead of 12. So it's 3 hours more. It's a quarter of the day more. And the night is 3 hours less. Instead of 12, it's 9 hours. And if you go more south, and the day gets longer until it's very long down south. And if you go way up north, it's shorter and shorter and shorter. And in Melbourne, Australia, and Johannesburg, South Africa, this Friday is not the summer solstice, it's the winter solstice. The deep winter, where they have the shortest day, longest night, and we have, up here in the northern hemisphere, the longest day, the shortest night. So, we light, if you light, you can light earlier Shabbos, you can have toast for Shabbos, take some of the weekday into Shabbos into the weekday, which means you add to the Shabbos called toast for Shabbos. We do it every week, 18 minutes, but you could have Shabbos 2.5 hours before Shabbos. It's called Mincha Gedola. 2.5 hours now is 3 hours. Because if every 12 hours of daylight is really 15 hours of daylight, so every minute is longer than a minute, we call that Shah Zamanios. Shah depends what time of the year it is, which means every single day of the year, sun rises a different second, right? So the Vasikin, people who daven very early, Vatik means powerful, every single day of the year they start davening a minute later, earlier or later. Vatik is powerful, it means they get to Shemona Esra, Goal Yisrael, exactly at the moment of sunrise. Netz Hachama. And every day is different. And 2 times a year, the day is 12 hours and the night is 12 hours. That's called the equinox. Equinox, night. Day is equal to night. That's on March 21st. It's called the vernal equinox for the spring. And autumnal equinox in Tkuvas Tishrei, 91 and a quarter days apart. 180, twice 91, 182, 183 days. And 4 times 91 and a quarter is 365, but the year is not 365, it's 365 and a quarter. So how can they celebrate New Year's Eve exactly on December 31st at midnight if the year is 6 hours more? So one year they should be midnight, the next year it should be 6 a.m. 6 a.m. that morning. And then the next year it should be 12 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock in the afternoon. After 4 years, they come back to midnight. So they don't. So what they do is they just call this year 2012, 2013, when it was still 2012, they stole 6 hours from the new year. Because it was not 613 yet. You had 6 hours to go. They stole it. So after 4 years, they have to give it back. That's why in the solar year, every 4 years, you have a leap year. They give back 1 day. So February 28 becomes 29. Leap means to jump ahead or give back. In our calendar, the lunar calendar, we have 354 days, not 365. So we're 11 days behind. So after 1 year, we're 11 days behind. And then after 2 years, we're 22 days, and then 33 days. After 3 years, about a month behind about. So eventually, if you don't fix that, Pesach will slip back into the winter. And the Torah says, Chag HaAviv, it got to be in the spring. So in South America, down there in Johannesburg, it's not the beginning of Pesach, it's not the beginning of spring, it's the beginning of winter. So it only has to do with Eretz Yisrael, obviously. So we have to adjust the lunar calendar, our lunar calendar, with the solar. So we put in a leap month every 2 years, or sometimes 3. Guch ad zat, these are the years, the 7 years out of the 19. You put in a leap month, 30 days more, so 354 becomes 384. So it's 7 times 7 leap years in 19 years, 7 times 384, and the rest 12, because 12 and 7 is 19. 12 times 354, add it all together, divided by 19, comes out to 365. Exactly. The year is 365. So you don't have 2 birthdays, the Jewish and the Hebrew English. It doesn't exist. Because it doesn't exist. You only can be 1 year older when you're 1 year older. And the lunar calendar, our lunar calendar, which starts in Nisan, which is only for Yom Tovim and a few other things, that's not really a year. Haraya, we fix it. Every 2 years, or 3. Guch ad zat. Gimel, Vav, 8, 3, 6, 8. Aleph, 11, 14, 17, 19. We put in a leap year, like this year's coming up, Tavshin Ayin Daled, there'll be a leap year, 6 months after the year starts, and Adar Beis. So that's a little bit about the calendar. Anyhow, this Friday, we have the longest, this Friday coming up, we're in the middle of 10 days, that's the longest hour, it had 75 minutes. 75 minutes. 75 minutes, 75.7 minutes per hour, and there's 12 of them. And that's called daylight. And then you have 9 hours of night, very short. So the middle of the 75.7, 10 days, comes out exactly this Friday. So it doesn't correspond with the earliest sunrise. You should. The earliest sunrise, the latest sunset should be the earliest. It doesn't, because the sunset is from June 10th to June 18th. 5:23. In the middle of those 10 days is June 14th. Anyhow, when they overlap a little bit, it comes out this Friday. The longest hour is 75 minutes, which means every minute has 75 seconds. Every hour has 75 minutes. And the day is 15 hours instead of 12. That's called, we're coming up to the summer solstice, and 6 months later is the winter solstice, and the 2 equinoxes. So together we have 91 and a quarter, 4 times. All right. Let's talk about the Pasha of Balak. Vayar Balak ben Sipar. He saw, Balak ben Sipar, he saw that the Jewish people are invincible. They just had killed the 2 giants, Sichon and Og, who protected the eastern seaboard of Eretz Canaan. The Yarden was guarded on the right east bank. The country of Moab and Ammon was over there. They call that today Jordan. And Jews wiped out the biggest giant in the world, Og and Sichon, his brother. So there's no one protecting them. Vayar Balak saw that. Ben Sipor, the son of his father Sipor, the son of a bird. His father was did magic with birds, and Balak also looked over the Jewish people like a bird hovering over them, watching them. He was afraid they're going to attack him, and obviously they have to come in to the country through his land. Vayar Balak ben Sipor, Eitzkol Ashasi Yisrael Amori, what he did to Amori, the king of Amori's Sichon. Vayogar Moab, and they were terrified, deathly afraid of losing their country to Yisrael, of being Gerim in their own country. Vayogar, Ger. Vayogar Moab B'nei Ha'am, because of the nation. Ma'od, very much. They were deathly afraid of being wiped out or being Gerim in their own country. Kirabhu, there were millions of Jews, 6 million, 3.5 born Jews and 2.4 million Gerim. 5.5, 6 million Jews. And they were invincible. 40 years ago they beat Amalek. A week ago we read that Amalek dressed up like Canaanim, spoke Canaani language and dressed in Canaani clothes, because then the Amalekim said they're going to pray to God to help them defeat the Canaanim, and it's a tefillah Schwab. It's not a true prayer because they're not Canaanim. They only look like Canaanim, the Amalekim. They beat them again. And then Balak was petrified. These are invincible people. Of course, yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu. What do you think? This is the Dor Hamidbar, the greatest Dor that ever lived. The Dor Deyo. They had knowledge of God. They heard his voice at Sinai. They saw the miracles at Yam Suf. They had Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest Navi that ever lived or ever could live. He was afraid. What is he going to do? They felt disgusted with themselves that they would have to be underlings, servants to the Jews who were going to take over his country. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, why? They hate each other, Moab and Midian. Well, if you have a kind of an enemy, you become friends. Marashi says, like two dogs, they hate each other, but you get attacked by a wolf, you can make friends. They spoke to the elders of Midian. He says, the leader they got there, Moses, he grew up in Midian. Tell me a little bit about him. What is he? They told me, all the power of these Jews represented by their leaders in the mouth. They pray to God, God helps. This group of people will lick us up. As Kol Tzibur saying, they already licked up our surroundings, Og and Sichon. They killed all those nations on the east bank. They're like a bull, a shor, a steer, licks up the vegetables of the field. There's only one problem, said the Mayan Beis HaSheva. Cows don't eat vegetables. Never did. They don't eat tomatoes and potatoes and radishes and onions and they don't eat yerek. They don't eat vegetables. He says, since they defeated the Mayan Beis HaSheva, since they defeated these giants, Og and Sichon, and the nations with them, so we are nothing but small change, like a cow that's in a field of grass and hay and wheat and barley and whatever, and alfalfa and soya, whatever they eat over there. And then after they finish the whole field, by accident, they'll eat a few vegetables, because the the vegetable garden is next to the sod, and by accident they'll wipe out the vegetables. They're going to take care of us like small change. We're nothing. Balak ben Sipor was the king just at that time, because he was the general for Sichon. Sichon was the king. He got killed, so they made this general now the king of Moab, Balak. Balak, came from our forefathers. You know that. Balak came from Lot, because Lot slept with his daughters and had a child, Moab, and he was the king of Moab, Balak. He was a Moabite. And then he had a son, Eglon, and 700 years later came Rus, and from that comes Mashiach. Isn't that interesting? Lot is Avram's nephew. Avram's nephew is Lot. And he had a son, eventually Moab, eventually Balak, and Eglon Melech Moab, and Rus. And Mashiach comes from that line, from Rus. Isn't that interesting? And Bilam, the prophet, he came from Lavan. Bilam, Lavan, the same word. Take out the ayin, it's still pronounced Bilam. And the mem and nun can be switched. So they say Bilam is Lavan. How could it be? It's 500 years ago. He's the Gilgal. So it comes out that Abraham had two brothers, Avram, Nachor, and Haran. Terach was the luckiest man in the world, because from Abraham came all the forefathers. Haran came Lavan, the Imahos, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah. And from Nachor came Lot, Mashiach. Isn't that interesting? The Terach was the luckiest man in the world. He had one son, and Avram, Nachor, and Haran, three sons. Avram came to Avos. Haran, Lavan, his daughters, came all the Imahos, and Bilam from that line, because they Lavan is Bilam. The cursor of the Jews and the Imahos comes from Haran. Nachor had Lot, Mashiach. Isn't it that interesting? Avram, Nachor, and Haran. Avram the Avos, Nachor, Mashiach, and Haran the Imahos. Interesting. And Balak came from Nachor. He hated us. Avram's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchild. And from Haran, Avram, Terach's son, Avram's brother, came Bilam the Navi, wanted to kill us. My goodness, look at that. Wow. If you take Bilam and Balak, right, one on top of the other, Bilam, Balak, the first two letters of Bilam is Beis Lamed, and the Beis on the bottom of Balak is Bavel. And the last two letters, Ayin, Mem, and Lamed K is Amalek. This Bilam came from Bavel. He represents Amalek. Then you write Bilam and Amalek under each other. The right two letters on both sides is Bilam. The left two letters on both sides is Amalek. Bilam is Amalek. Everybody wants to destroy his Amalek. Even Yishmael is Amalek because Esav married Yishmael's daughter. So Esav and Yishmael mixed. The Spanish, the Nazis, the Babylonians, everybody, the Muslims, everybody's Amalek. Amalek is 240. Reish Mem, Rome is 240. Vatican is 242, if you work it out right. Interesting, huh? Everyone who hates us is Amalek. Makes a difference. You could be a Muslim, you could be a Christian. Makes a difference. Let's take a look. V'yishlach melachim, so he sent agents. El Bilam, remember he was in Moab here, right next to Yarden, and Bilam lives in Iraq, 350 miles. Bilam ben Ba'ar, the son of Ba'ar, Pesora to Pesora. That's a place. Someone says that he's a poser chalomos. All the kings of the country, the world, used to send him their dreams, and he used to explain them. Some say Pesora, he's lived on the river Pros. Sof and Samach, two different letters, but it's called phonetic relationships. For Drusha, you're allowed to do that. Hirsch does it all the time. Pesora on the river Pesar, Paros, Sof, Samach, right? And that's the Euphrates between Iraq and Iran. So that's about 380 miles away. Asher al Hanohar, which one? That big major river, Euphrates. Euphrates is a Paros. Eretz Bnei Amba, where he came from, Balak. That's how he knows Bilam, because Bilam comes from Babylonia, Iraq, Iran. Lakrolo, to call him. Malem or Hine, you know? Hine, surprise. Am Yotzim Mitzrayim, a nation came out of Egypt. He doesn't say that God took him out of Pines. He's a kofar, he's an atheist. Hine, it just so happened. Eretz, Hine, Am Yotzim, just came out of Egypt. You heard about that, haven't you? Meanwhile, no slave ever escaped Egypt. Here, 5 million people come out one night, this night of Pesach, and the Egyptian army is helpless. It's just an accident, right? That's a good one. That's a pretty good one. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you also. Am Yotzim is fine. He named surprise. You know what? Kisos ain't hard to cover the eye of the earth. Wherever you look, you see them. He named surprise. Ain, the eyes, our front guard. The Chsichen and Og, they covered them, they killed them. An accident, they say. They covered the eye of the earth. That's a shot. The drush is they covered our eyes. We pay these people, Og and Sichon, to watch out for attack on the East Bank. They just killed them. And also, just one of these incidences. Hine am yotzim Mitzrayim. Hine, and behold also, I can't explain it. Kisos ainos, they cover the earth, wherever you look, they're there. But who Yoshev Mamuli, the right opposite me. Yoshev is missing a vav, and Mamuli is missing a vav. A vav is 6. 6 and 6 is 12. I can't see them, but they see me. The Bnei Yisrael, vav and vav is 12. The 12 Shvatim, they're right over here. I can't see them because Anani Yaakov covers them, but I know they see me, but I know they're there, but I can't see them. Like, you know, there's people in the next room, you hear noises, but you can't get in. You know they're there, but you can't see them. Vato now, L'cho, no, please come. Orally curse from me as Omazeh, this nation, Kiyosim humi many. They're too strong for me to beat them militarily. You curse them, then we'll beat them militarily. Ulai ukal nakabo, maybe then I can smack them, beat them. Vagoshenim and I'll drive them out of this part of the country, let them go any place they want. Kiyodati says, whatever you bless is blessed. We know that from in history. You know, we are a very famous wizard. You are very successful. Or you, or whenever you curse is cursed. Vato now, lecha, come. Hey, you should say bo. Lecha, I mean, you send these agents a 17-day trip, 380 miles away. And when you get there, you tell them go. No, you want them to come. Why don't you say bo? And why do you say l'chor lamed chav hey? Why don't you say lamed final chav lech? What's l'chor? Female. Because I want you to curse 5 parts of them. the north, east, west, and south, because east and west, north and south, there are 3 Shvatim in every direction, 3, 6, 9, 12. These are the 4. And then the Erev Rav at the end, these are the stragglers from Egypt that became Gerim, 2.4 million, says Targum Yonason, with the 3.5 citizens, that's about 6 million people. So I want you to curse them also, the Erev Rav that hangs on the bottom of Don, and they're in the south. They don't have a Shevet because the father's not Jewish. He can't be a part of a Shevet. I want you to destroy all 5 sections. So whatever you bless is blessed, whatever you curse is cursed. So the elders of Moab, the dignitaries of Moab, with the dignitaries of Midian, which we call today Saudi Arabia. That's where Yisro lived, Moshe's father-in-law, in Midian, because he had to run away from Pharaoh, because he was one of the advisors of Pharaoh. Bilam was, and Yisro was, and Eov. And Bilam says, kill him. So eventually he got chopped up, next week said, by someone chopped up to pieces. And Yisro said nothing, because he knew Hashem was going to save them. The biggest tzaddik guy that ever lived, he wrote a sefer called Eov. Someone once said a joke, you know what, some people don't want to learn Tanakh. Certain people don't want to learn Tanakh because there's a book in there called Job. They don't want to get a job. They don't want to work. Anyhow, Eov was the biggest tzaddik in the world. Whole sefer, 42 chapters of Eov. He was such a tzaddik, at the end he became a Navi because he didn't reject Hashem. He complained against him being born, but he never didn't complain and reject Hashem. He became a Navi at the end. And he was a guy. So Eov was an advisor. Yisro and Bilam said kill him, so eventually he got killed. Yisro said don't touch those Jews, they're God's people. He had to run away for his life. That's why he went to Midian from Egypt, which is North Africa, to 1,000 miles away in Saudi Arabia, down there on the bottom. So Moshe went there. Maybe it's somewhere in Mecca, Medina, maybe there, that's in Saudi Arabia. That's Midian. So, and then Bilam. So Bilam must have been an old fellow. At the beginning of the last 86 years of the 210 years of Egypt, they had these 3 advisors, because that's when they started killing them, shooting them in the last 86 years. That's why Miriam was born then. Miriam was called Mar, when she came out of Mitzrayim, she was 86, because it started 86 years before her they came out. So this man, Bilam, must be at least 86 years old. How can you say Bilam that he's Lavan? Lavan who Bilam. How can you say? It means it's a Gilgal. Now it's the end of 46 years. It's 86 plus 40. And he's not a baby when he started. Maybe he's, 150 years old. How can you say Bilam is Lavan? And we know that Bilam never lived half his life. Life is 70. He was killed before 35. So he has to be at least 250 years old. At the time of Yaakov, he was around Lavan. So if you work it out, it came out to 260 years. Anyhow, so they had all kind, and they were versed in the oracles. Biyada means these people went. Bilam couldn't tell them any nonsense, and I can't do it, and it's not the right time. They knew all about the occults and the magic and the powers of hocus pocus and voodoo. They were very versed people, so Bilam couldn't push them off. Because some of Miyadim, they had versed in the cults. They came to Bilam, and they spoke to him the message of Balak. Stay here tonight. Shivosi asked him, I'll tell you in the morning what the answer is. What God's going to talk to me, that's what I'll do. So Bilam. So the Sarei Moab stayed with Bilam. What happened to Sarei Midian? They disappeared. They said, this man is not going to help us. He mentioned Yud Kei Vav Kei. You ever heard of a father black cursing his own children? They disappeared and they were right, because he couldn't curse them. And Moshe grew up in Midian, so the Sarei Midian knew that Moshe had the power in his mouth, and he saved Bnei Yisrael from Mitzrayim. A father, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is not going to curse his own children, so they left. So they only were with Sarei Moab. V'yovel Elokim el Bilam. Midas Hadin came to Bilam, Elokim. Vayomer, he said, Mi anosh me'eli, who are these people with you? God doesn't know. He wants to give him some time to organize his thoughts. Didn't he say that same thing to Adam after he did the chet? Ayeka, where are you? He doesn't know where Adam is. It means he wants to give him a chance to not to attack him and surprise him. Give him an answer. Who are these people with you? Yom Bilam Elikim. So Bilam said to Elikim, Balak ben Sipor, Balak the king of Ben, the son of Sipor, Melech Moab, the king of Moab, Sholach Elai sent to me. You may not think much of me, but he does. And by itself, it looks like Hayoti. There's a nation that came out of Mitzrayim. Because in order to cover their wherever you look, they're all around. That means they killed Sichan and Og. They're the eyes of Moab. Ato l'chol kam kovali curse. Also them. Ulai uchal hilacham. And then maybe I can go to war to them. They'll be weakened. They get Rashi and I'll drive him out. Here you learn that Bilam, who was hired by Balak, is worse than Balak because Balak says "Ara curse." That's a weak curse. Kava means you use the Shem Hamaforish. No cave Shem Hashem. He's worse. The Gerashtiv means I want to drive him out of the world. Balak said, just get him away from me. Bilam said, I want to. He doesn't want him in this whole world, Bilam. He hated them worse than Balak. Like Haman hated the Jews more than Achashverosh. It's always the underlings, or seem more fervor, they want to overdo everything. Like in the shul, the Gabbai sometimes knows better. He thinks he knows better than the Rav, right? He told the Rav, this is our minhag over here. I mean, the little guy, he wants to show he's something, so he shoots his mouth off. Here, this Bilam hated him worse than Balak. And Haman hated him worse than Achashverosh, and Achashverosh was the king. Don't go with them. So he says, well, then I'll stay home and curse them. No, don't curse them even at home. He says, if that's the case, Rashi says, well, I'll bless them. No, we don't need your brachos. They're already blessed. Way back. Shaming. He got up in the morning and he spoke to the princes of Balak, waiting, the government officials. Go home. God doesn't want me to go with you. So they heard the word go with you. Really, God said don't go. But he used it, that's what Bilam heard. He doesn't want me to go with you, which means tell Balak to send higher grade officials and more, not just 2 or 3, but maybe a whole committee. Hashem said, so don't go with them. But Hashem meant don't go. They won't even stay back and curse them. He heard the word imochem. You guys are too low level. I need bigger people. Because you see what kind of arrogant man he was. They got up and they went home to Balak. Took 17 days because it's on 380 miles. And they go 10 parses a day, 30 miles, and 10 days, 300 miles. He said, Bilam doesn't want to come with us. Yosef, Balak understood what's going on here. He's looking for cover. But Yosef owed Balak, and Yosef added the numbers. Shalach Sorim, grab him, many more in numbers, a quantity and a quality. More honored in kamus and echus, in number, quantity and quality. But Yovo, and after another 17 days, Yovo el Bilam Yomelo, Ko Omar Balak ben Sibor. So said Balak ben Sibor, I'll no. Please, I'll means low, don't. Please not. Timon, don't refuse. But hello, to come with me. I'm going to honor you very much. Don't worry about it. We'll make a big reception committee for you. No, whatever you tell me, I will do. No, you're telling him money is no problem. No, come please cover Li Amazeb cursed this nation. Vayan Bilam Yomer Abde Balak. He said to the servants of Balak, Im Yitain Li, here it comes. Im Yitain Li Balak Melo Beso Kesvazov. If he gives me his whole treasury of silver and gold, I cannot violate the word of God. Whatever God tells me, that's it. Elokoi, my God. To do a small thing or a big thing. No changes. I may be, as you see soon, he practiced animalism. He was a maneuver, a pervert, but he's not a liar. So the Mayan Beis Sheva says he's the Gilgul of Lavan. Lavan lied. He doesn't lie. Hashem came to Lavan the night before he met Yaakov, after Yaakov was there 20 years and he ran away with his 4 daughters. and his 11 grandkids, Lavan's, and because Lavan tricked him for 20 years, and now he's going to trick Lavan. Lavan was on a trip shearing his wool 3 days that way. Yaakov went 3 days that way. So soon as Lavan found out, they were 6 days apart. So he ran like crazy, Lavan. And before he met Yaakov, Hashem came to Lavan and said, "Don't speak to Yaakov, good or bad, mitov ad ra." So he came right away and he threatened Yaakov. You see all these soldiers here? I could say the word of God. And he went into the tent and checked this and checked Rachel's tent and Leah's tent and went to his property until Yaakov blew up and says, "What are you looking here? What are you looking? Did you find a pin that we took from you?" He violated the word of God. So here comes 250 years later, Bilam, Masakin the head of Lavan. He will not say a lie. He's maybe a pervert and a manuvel, but he's not a liar. We have today people that want to destroy us. They're mishchasim, and they are murderers and killers and thieves and ganovim. But they're ma'aminim 100%. 100% they believe in Allah. The average Muslim probably more religious than the average Israeli Jew in the world. They will not ever mix up God with a man. The way beyond Christianity, they're more advanced. They believe in Allah. Haman was the greatest man. Asa was the greatest man who ever honored his father. Shimon ben Gamliel said, "I can't come to 100th of the kibbutz of Haman." But he's still going to he went to Gehenna. He's the worst man in the world. So are they, the worst people. So is this Bilam. This guy never told a lie. One good meter doesn't help you. You got beautiful shoes on, but meanwhile you have a torn, dirty suit. And what does that help? So he believed in God 100%, and that's true. He never said one lie here. Ato Shvu Nova says, "Stay over here." Gamatem, you also tonight. Stay over again. I want to see what God adds. Hope he doesn't add anything. But he's not going to change his mind. Hashem never changes his mind. My Yosef Hashem diber imi, to speak with me. Vayova Elokim el Bilam Lailo, and Elokim came to Bilam at night. If they came to call you, Kum lechi, don't go with them, no problem. Oh, what happened? Before they came to call for you to curse, now they're coming for you. You're going to get something out of it. Kavod, money. Oh, it's not purely lishma. So you will not be successful. Oh boy. Now it's on. I don't know, something wrong with this here. Now I'm working, the mic is working. I hope it stays on. I hope he didn't miss too much in between here. I saw the mic went off. I don't know what's going on over here. It looks good now. All right. Stay over tonight, Gamatem, and I'll see what Hashem tells me. Vayova Elokim el Bilam, and came to Bilam, Lailo at night. Vayomelo im likro lecho. If you're getting something out of it, personally getting something out of this for personal gain, then you can go. Nothing wrong. Kum leichitam. However, whatever I tell you, that's what you have to do. Why doesn't it say whatever I tell you, that's what you have to speak? No, because it came out of his throat automatically like a recording. The donkey too spoke as God wanted him to. And Bilam also was God wanted him to. It's God speaking through his throat. That's why we say every morning, Matova Lecha Yaakov. Because Bilam said it, but God put it in his mouth, therefore it's holy. And when Lavan, that manuvel, wanted to send away his sister Rivka to marry Yitzchak, he said to her, this lowlife, because they say he's worse than Pharaoh, He says, our sister be like the millions that produce millions and millions. We say that every way. And the husband says to his bride, or the daughter of the father, the granddaughter, our sister, you should be the Alfei Ravava to thousands of millions. And that was the word of Lavan. How could you repeat at every wedding what Lavan said, the low life? The answer is because Hashem put it in his mouth. And Matova, Hashem put it in Bilam's mouth. So Hashem is speaking. And Hashem put it in the donkey's mouth. That's why. Shlishi. Vayokam Bilam Bavokav. This is Ashura, destroys protocol. You forget the proper manners. You hate somebody so much, you even forget the proper manners, how to do it. So he was not the first one that did messed up. Yosef, the Pharaoh, he was the Pharaoh, put him in charge of the whole country. He ran the whole country. Yosef saddled up his own horse to meet his father. That's called Simcha. Mekakeles as Ashura. Simcha also destroys proper conduct, protocol, because so in love with his father to mechabed his father. Avram, in the day when Hashem told him that next day to bring your son as an Akedah, 137-year-old father and the 37-year-old son Yitzchak. Avram was the richest man in the Middle East. We know that. Koved Ma'od, he was the richest person. He saddled up his own donkey because to do the mitzvah of the Akedah. And Yosef, the king of Egypt, he saddled up his own donkey to do the mitzvah of Kibbutz Av. So is Bilam, Hasinna, or the Ahava, Makakelis Ashur, destroys protocol. You forgot mannerism because you're so involved in the mitzvah. That's why Erev Shabbos, Mr. Gemara says, Tanoim and Amoroyim used to clean the house and pick out the garbage and cut up the fish. For cover for Shabbos, it's so enormous you forget proper protocol. The Yocham, Yaakov just Asono, he saddled up his Ason, well not Chamor, it was a donkey, a female, as you know what they did together. With the princes of Moab, and the God was furious. He's a goer. He just told him go. He just told him a pasuk before go. Didn't say ki harlach that he went. Holech, he's a goer. He from day one when the first group came, he wanted to go. He really wanted, but he was playing games to cover them with money. He really wanted. He loved to curse them. Ki holechu, that he was really intense. Interested in cursing B'nai Yisrael, not Holach, but Holech, he's a goer. He says, Malach Hashem, then came to Malach Hashem, Yud Kevovke, to try to have mercy on this pathetic person, to save his life. Malach Hashem, to prevent him. He was riding on his female donkey. The two guards with him here. We tell you, Malach Hashem, and the Masan saw the Malach Hashem, Nitzav Badero, standing on the highway. And his sword was out in his hand, which means I'm going to kill you. And then also went off the road. Walked in the field. He beat her up to get her back in the road. Then they went another way through a vineyard, and they went through a little path in the vineyard, and Mshol Hakramim, a shol in the kerem. Got him a stone fence here and a stone fence there. But here also is Malach Hashem. She also saw, again, Malach Hashem, he didn't see it, this so-called prophet, right? But Tilchas says, okay, she squeezed herself to the wall, the brick wall. But Tilchatz, and automatically it got crushed as regular Bill on one of his legs. Alakir against the wall. But Yosef and Hakos, and he beat him more. But Yosef Malach Hashem Mavor. So the Malach Hashem went up further, next path. And the donkey went in a very, very narrow place. You couldn't even move 1 inch. Share Angel Derek told you minutes small, you couldn't go right or left. Ter also is Malach Hashem, she saw again Malach Hashem. But Tirbat, she squatted down, she got on, he lowered her front knees and went down. Because, no, where can you go? Can't go right or left. Takas Bilam, Yicha Bilam, he was furious. V'yak, as also Mamakli beat him with a piece of wood. Now he's furious. Now the greatest history in the history of mankind happened. The animal speaks. Yiftach Hashem is Piyasan. God had mercy on this pathetic soul. He said he opened up the mouth of the Asan. What do I do to you? What did I do to you? You beat me 3 times. Why didn't it say Shalish Pa'amim? You're going to curse with your mouth a nation that's going to come up to Yerushalayim, Shalish Regalim 3 times a year to bless God with their mouth, and they come with their feet. And they're walking, they drive until the Harabayas, then you have to walk up the Harabayas. You're traveling also to the same toward that country. You want to curse a nation that's going to bless God 3 times a year, and you're going to curse that nation? Shoulders regalim. He said to us, "You're mocking me. You're making fun of me. You don't listen to my rules." Now wait a minute, Rabbi. If you had a cat or a dog that start talking to you, you're just going to answer it like 2 people, or you're going to faint. You're going to faint. He just gives the conversation, so the answer is simple. 2 behemoths talk to each other. There's nothing wrong with that. He lived like a behemoth. He lived with her. You remember about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I don't know if it's true or not, but in New Square in New York, there was a guy was cleaning fish in New Square, and the fish talks. And the man fainted, the guy unconscious. A fish speaks to you. A man had died a few days before, and his voice said something. So they told the Rebbe, the Square Rebbe, and so he said, if he says, agrees, everybody can make fun of the Square Rebbe, because fish talks, you believe it? If he said, nah, I don't believe it, you mean your chassid is lying to you? So he said, I never heard it, can't verify it, I have no idea. Smartest answer in the world. But was it true or not, I don't know, but a fish talks, or a donkey, and you don't faint. You just get along fine with it because you're on the same level. Why'd you beat me 3 times? He said, you're making fun of me. You don't listen to my instructions. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you. Female Andy, because it's a female, right? But am I not your ason, your female donkey? You ride on me. From day 1 till now. Did I ever put myself in danger like this to get beaten before? To do this to you? He says, no, you're right. Finally God opens his eyes. He saw the Malach Hashem standing there on the derech, and his hand, his sword exposed, open. So he bowed down. Put his face down and curtsied. I love Malach Hashem. Malach Hashem said to him, why do you beat your animal 3 times? The donkey said it, but now the Malach said it again. Why do you beat her 3 times? Don't you see? I went to prevent you. Satan is a person who wants to prevent you to do God's wishes. The Satan, kiyorat haderech lenegdi. It should be your rod. The path you're going down is against my wishes. Why your rat? So Hirsch says your rod is going down in a very easy way. This is forcing your way down. You know God doesn't want it. And the other Gemara says, how do you know there's no trikin in the Torah, shorthand in the Torah? Because it says your rat. Yud Reish Tes. Your rat means Yura, she was afraid, the donkey. Rosa, because she saw. Not so, she turned away. Yarat. So we learn from here that there's shorthand in the Torah. One kind of shorthand could be Rosh Tevas, which this is. It could be Sof Tevas, Gematrias, all type of things. And there's another type of shorthand where really these 3 letters are not the first 3 letters. Yoro, Rosa, Notsa. It didn't say Nun, it said Tes. Yorat. So it's not exactly Rosh Tevas. So we have another example of Notrikin, which is a Greek word for a shorthand. Abraham, Avhamon Goyim, right? Abraham, it's not, hello, Avhamon Goyim, there's no gimel in the word Abraham. And what do you do with the reish? You don't use that in the word Avram, Av, the father of the nations of the world, all should be, one day will be Gerim. Like Avram was a guy, he became a Ger. He kept the Shem Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So Avraham is Abhamon Gerim. There's no Gimel there in Avram. And what do you do with the Resh? So it means shorthand doesn't have to be every single letter. It's a type of shorthand, and there's Rosh Hashanah is also one of them. Anyhow. Tirani also, and Asan saw me. He turned away, shoulders regaled 3 times. How come you didn't see me, you big prophet, you? Ulai not saw mipana, if she would not have turned away, but it doesn't say lo, it says ulai not saw, since she turned away, but Targum Unkel says, Eli fun lo stas, she would have turned away. So why did the Torah write the word lo? Because ulai means ulai, since she turned away. Ulai, since she not so turned away. Biponai, you're lucky, you're living. Ki ato gam oscho harakti. If she would not have turned away, I would have killed you, left the donkey alive. Not like you said you're going to kill the donkey and you're going to live. No, I'm going to kill you and let her live. Oscho harakti, I would have killed her. But oscho chayes, I would kill you and let her live. But yom bilim b'mal Hashem. No, chotasi, I did a sin. Ki lo yadali, I didn't know ki ato needs of the cross, you're standing in front of me. But there, along the way. V'ato, in Rabbi Necha, if it's bad in your eyes, Ashuva li'al, I'll go home if it's bad. Rabbi said, the man in the road 3 times with a sword. What do you mean if I should go home? If you don't want me to go, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you asking a question? Let's say you're a teacher, and the child flunked, you give him a 0. So the boy comes to the teacher. Do you mean you failed me? So since it's such a stupid question, the teacher says, no, I just like to write circles in certain students' papers. He's telling the Malach, you think I should go home? Yom Malach Hashem El Bilam, no! Go with the people. Which means you're not a chacham, so go. I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself. In the pit that a man digs, that's where he falls. The Malach says, well, go, why don't you go? Go with the people. However, 0. Nothing but, as the davar she'adaber lecha, that I speak to you, osra the daber, that you have to speak. Never, don't change one word. He went gladly with the sorry bolik. Yishma bolik, he bought Bilam. We're going to learn a few more pasukim, and then we'll finish. Balak heard that Bilam was coming. He went to meet him in the capital city. Rashi says Metropolis. Metropolis, the capital city where all the offices are in the government building. The Moab Asher Gavul Arno, which is on the border of the river Arno, and it comes out of Yam HaMelech and divides Moab and Ammon, the Arnon River. Asher could say Gavul, which is at the end of his border, Vayomer Balak El Bilam. Here is a pasuk with 15 lameds. Vayomer Balak El Bilam, hello, Shalach, Shalachti, Elechem, Lekro, Lecho, Lomo, Lo, Holachto, Eloi, Humnam, Lo, Uchal, Abdechem. Why he has 15 lameds here? Lamed is 30. 15 times 30 is 450. 10, 450.